Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Duluth. I'm 63 years old. Never ran for political office. Never held a political office. Every time I watch the news, I bitch about it. So my wife finally says, why don't you do something about it? So I thought, okay, so last year I was going to run, but I missed the deadline because I was, kind of dumb and didn't know what to do. So this year when I found out Emily Larson was going to run unopposed, I went, no, she can't just run unopposed. I mean, at least make it a race.
Sure.
At least get a couple people in there just to make it fun. So that's what I did. I've been married to my wife this tomorrow, 37 years. I have 2 daughters. I have 3 grandsons. And my mom lives in Twig by herself, and she's 99 years old. She was out cutting the grass the other day. I told her, I said, thanks for cutting the front yard, Mom. That's less than I have to do.
Wow.
And I guess I just want to bring a common sense type theme to politics in Duluth. I don't know if it's just me or if I'm looking at it the wrong, but it just seems like administration after administration after administration, it's all the same. They all do the same things. They spend money they don't have. They tax people to death. They put fees on your utility bill. And I don't understand that. And it seems to do that administration after administration. And it seems like they want to throw good money after bad. And I just want to try to change that, try to make some decisions, try to make changes in the city that probably won't be popular, but that's what I want to do.
Okay. So less spending and more responsibility.
Right. And I think that if you do that, I think it'll be a better place to live. This population in Duluth has been, what, 85,000 for how many years? A long time. When I was a kid, it was over 100,000. The steel mill was going crazy. The cement plant was going crazy. I mean, they had Diamond Tool. They had a lot of industry, a lot of manufacturing in the city. John, you probably remember all that. And they don't have anything. They have a lot of retail. They have a lot of tourists. They have a lot of hotels. They have, not everybody wants to come to Duluth and be in the medical field. We have one industry here. It's serious. That's it. Nothing else. So I figure that if we can get some manufacturing and some industry in town, and we can broaden our tax base, maybe lower taxes, and just try to keep young people here too. I mean, 10,000 plus students come here to go to our universities and colleges. And after 4 years, they leave. They don't stay here. So we educate to export. Why do we do that? Why can't we tap into their talents, their degrees, their personalities to keep them here? Keep the city young, let them get married or not, buy a house, have a car, stay in town for 30, 40, 50 years, go on vacations to other places, but try to keep some of those students here instead of shipping them out to Minneapolis or Boston. A lot of my classmates are all in the cities. And that was in 1970 when I graduated. And they're still doing it. Channel 10 did a piece 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I can't remember, but it was a couple years ago at least. They interviewed all these college students from around town, and all of them said, great place, lake, hiking, biking, great party town. They loved it here. They liked to go to school here. After 4 years, and they asked 3 students, and all 3 in a row said they wouldn't stay, they'd leave. Every one of them.
What was the reason?
There's nothing here to keep them here. There's no jobs, there's no opportunities for them. They have to go to a bigger market. Now, 85,000 people, is that a big enough market to sustain stuff? I don't know. I don't know.
So what is the mayor's office not doing that it would under a Jim Mattson administration?
Well, I think that if they have to try to be responsible to try to invite companies to come in here. Why can't we have an automobile assembly line here? We have rail, we have air, we have shipping. Why can't we have something like that here? Has that been explored? I don't think so. I mean, where's the industry manufacturing? Why can't we get like a computer board company in here? Maybe a precious metal refining company to supply cell phones and computers to make people, or allow people to get a better opportunity to make a better wage. Develop the steel plant site. There's what business out there, Iconics, and they're expanding.
Right.
That's a huge area. It would really help the western part of the city. And you could probably fit 8, 10 companies out in that area because it's so huge. could maybe to invite them in, make it attractive to sell the land at a very economical price, maybe give them a lower tax break on the property for 2 years, but don't make it tax-free. I mean, what's the sense of that? So then if you, after 2 years, then bring it back to normal levels.
Sure.
So I think that's what they should do.
Sounds like economic development would be probably your top priority.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
help make Duluth prosper
I mean,
again.
you have a graduate coming out of school, they're not going to go work for Joe's Coffee Shop or Charlotte's Boutique and make minimum wage. They're not going to do that. And there's tons of those jobs in the city. Waitressing jobs, hotel maids, yeah, but it's all minimum wage. And that's what minimum wage jobs are. They're a stepping stone to the job market.
Right.
You know, you go and you get a minimum wage job. A minimum wage job does not say that you're going to support a family of 4 or 5, because you can't, unless you have 4 minimum wage jobs. Teaches a young kid coming out of high school how to be responsible, work ethic, savings, knows about his taxes being taken out, Social Security taken out. It introduces him to what's the future. So then when he goes to college, he knows what it's like to work. And then when he graduates, he moves out of town. Why? Why can't we keep him here?
Mm-hmm.
Smart guy, maybe he could be the next mayor.
Can I ask you a question? A few years ago, you were talking about an assembly plant for automobiles. Of course, I was a graduate, 70 graduate too, and they tried to get the Saturn plant.
Yeah, I was
here.
thinking of that
Right
too.
Oh,
here in
yeah,
Park.
that's right.
And they tried, and I think
Tried hard.
And a lot of it had nothing really to do with the city as much as maybe the state climate. I mean, they found a much more favorable location, and I think it was Tennessee or somewhere like that.
Mhm.
But they're now gone, so I mean, that would have been another industry that was
Boom
here
and
and
bust
gone
there.
because Saturn's has disappeared. Well, what as Duluth can't do? What do you think Duluth can actually do? Because a lot of this you run smack dab in the state tax policy. You can't just give them property tax relief, or you can't give them without it going through like the legislature. So is
Yeah,
that what you're kind of thinking?
That I really don't know. I'm not real well versed in that area yet, but I'm still learning.
That's okay. No, I just was wondering what you were thinking.
You said that, you know, we need to, I think what you said was we gotta cut taxes and fees that we're paying. What program, what do you see that's a wasteful program that you would wanna cut?
Well, I think the fees on utility bills. Why are they there? Why are they there?
What do you wanna cut?
Take them off.
No, I mean, but like the revenue that they generate pays for city
So-
services. What do you think the city should not be doing or wouldn't be doing then? Because we couldn't afford it if we're bringing in less money. We can't, you know,
Well, maybe
things
we
like
should.
plowing and
Yeah,
parks. and-
I understand that.
yeah.
And what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce a few things for the city to take away all the city of Duluth cars. Person goes to work, if he has cross-town business in the city, pay him mileage. Save some money there.
Oh, you eliminate the motor pool, is that what you're saying?
Yep. I'm not too sure about pickup trucks and that. Don't authorize or offer any overtime unless it's an emergency. I mean,
With city cars, you don't mean squad cars?
City of Duluth cars, you know, the
Not
ones that say
squads,
City of
okay.
Duluth
Right,
cars,
right,
you
right,
know.
Motor pool cars.
Yeah, motor pool cars,
Go ahead, I'm
just
sorry.
get them off the street and
Yeah.
then everybody else drives to work.
Mhm.
You go to work, if you have to run to Morgan Park or East End or up north, pay
Pay
mileage.
Sure.
I think that would help. No overtime offered. When I saw that one fella made $107 a year in overtime. How come?
Oh, 107,000.
Yeah, $107,000 in overtime. I mean, if somebody offered me overtime and I could make 6 figures, you know, I'd be foolish not to take it. But, you know, unless it's an emergency, a water break or something like that. But they could save money there too. They'd save a ton of money on the cars. Leasing or buying, depending what they do. Maintenance, gas, insurance.
Sure. What are their cost savings?
Yeah,
I mean, those are 2 big ones, I'll give you that.
yeah. I haven't got past 2 yet, so I'm still working.
Get those and see what happens, I suppose. So, we wanted to ask you about your style, but I think you've kind of addressed that. You know, it'd be a lot different than the current administration, or even you mentioned an Emily Larson administration.
Well, when the DFL backs him, which shouldn't be because the mayor is a non-party office, you know, And when the DFL, because this is a, I'm not, trying to kid myself, it's a big DFL town. And when the DFLers come into town and endorse the mayor,
Right.
and then when the current mayor practically hands the keys to her, it's tough. It's tough to fight that. But at least if I make sense of things and people sit there and they go, that makes sense, then let's do it. It might not be popular, but we've got to do something.
And at least people would have another choice.
Well, right.
Yeah.
If they think that, well, gee, if should we hire or elect another politician to do the same thing that they've been doing over and over again?
Talk about the library issue, Jim. What do you think should? Rolled your eyes immediately. I don't have to go into the details of the background.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's amazing how the city can come up with $80,000 just here and give it to a committee to do a feasibility study. Well, what is that committee going to tell us? That we don't need a new library? Of course not. They're going to come back and say, you need a new library. And they did. So if the $80,000 that the city handed that out, couldn't they have poured that into the library and improved whatever they need improving step by step, instead of just handing it out to somebody else to say that we need a new library? And then the mayor decides that he doesn't want to, since he got some negative feedback on the new library, he said, well, I'll just, let the next person take care of this. So he kind of dodged that one. But then he said, but we need a state-of-the-art building to last another 30 years. So is that his economic program for the trades? To build a $55 to $60 million building and then 30 years later rip it down and build another one? 35-year-old building is, if you go buy a house that's 35 years old, that's relatively new.
Yeah.
So why, and the library, the Mount Royal Library does as much business as the downtown library does.
Is that right?
And it's half the size. So why can't the downtown library maybe condense things, open up a bookstore, lease out space to other businesses, say, like a bookbinding place or a whatever, insurance place or anything, to get some more revenue or rent to the building that they can use for repairs.
So you don't think the library should be torn down?
I think you should just leave it,
Just
leave
leave
it be, and
yeah.
just do your improvements as they need be done. Heating, windows, roof, whatever needs, make a list. What's the priority? The roof leaks. Okay, well, maybe you'd want to do that first.
Yeah.
Keep the water out. Then, okay, we're losing a lot of heat. Okay, what are we doing? Efficient heating system or bad windows? Which one? And go from there. Just go down the line and fix it, just like you do at home.
I don't know. I have a leaky roof. I spent $35 million on a new house. So.
There you go. Fix my roof.
We were talking a lot about city finances. Of course, the city has taken a huge hit with the casino revenue sharing. Two things we want to ask about that. I mean, how do we make up for that money?
Oh, yeah.
And what about relations between the city and the band?
I don't know if it's ever going to be healed now that we've taken them to court 3 times. We've spent nearly $1 million on it. Lost all 3 times. I don't think we're going to win on the 4th try. I think we should just cut our losses, see if we can repair it. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think Karen Diver's interested in doing that. I don't know her personally, but just from, listening to her rhetoric in the paper and on TV, she just wants to do what she wants to do, and I don't think she wants to include the city in it. Now, what does the city do? Does the city get nasty and condemn the parking ramp next to it?
Well, actually, the city owns a parking ramp.
Yeah, so will the city condemn the parking ramp to put a pinch on the casino? No, because then they'll just buy another piece of property and build a ramp. Or do we cut city services like snow plowing, snow removal, that type of thing? All that's going to cause is, more bad blood. So I think we just have to cut our losses and just try to deal with it, and maybe it'll simmer down, and maybe talks can go over. I don't know how we're going to get $13.5 million. All the millions of dollars that they got when they had the money, what'd they do with it? I don't see what they did with it. They were supposed to go for streets and maintenance. I never saw any of that go into that. And the tourism tax. Oh my gosh. They want to tax everybody coming in 1% or whatever it is,
right.
or 75 cents or whatever it is. And then they just gave $500,000 to the bike trails. They're gonna try to give $30,000 to Spirit Mountain. And that's another thing that we can go and talk for an hour. Why don't we just sell Spirit Mountain to a private enterprise and let some guy who runs ski resorts run it? And when they built that chalet at the bottom, I think that was a drastic money maker. I don't even think it's even making any money down there. I never see any cars in that parking lot when I go by. I don't go by there very often, but I have people that live out that way, and they say they never see any cars down there. And I think they're losing a lot of money there. They spent a lot of money on that, and now it's not making it.
Talk about the city spending in terms of what you see as core services. Where should we be putting our attention?
Road repair.
Yeah.
Road repair and
that
infrastructure.
transitions with the casino issue because of the funding.
I know, and it's a shame that they didn't use it when they had it.
Yeah.
Now they don't have it, and now I think the citizens are going to pay for it, and that's not fair. Don't know how we're going to raise it. I'll think of something though.
Well, what do you consider core services? I mean, and that should be funded and funded well.
Well, police and fire. Ambulance service is privately owned, so that's,
Right.
you know, good street repair, maintenance, infrastructure, that type of thing. It just, you have to build from the inside out so it doesn't collapse. And I think that's where we have to concentrate.
Okay.
You know, city provides people's needs, not people's wants. And it's tough sometimes because, you know, I want a Corvette. Can I afford a Corvette? No. Am I going to get a Corvette? No. So do I need one? No. But I wouldn't want one. And I think that's where you have to divide. And it's tough, and there's a lot of gray areas.
Right.
But if you can keep it black and white as best as you can, I think you'll do a lot better that way.
How's Duluth doing, do you think, with public safety, crime, things like that?
Well, I was just, as a matter of fact, this is kind of funny that you should ask this. One of the customers up at Kohler works in law enforcement, and he was saying that heroin use in Duluth is way up.
Mm-hmm.
And he said,
I've heard that.
He said that it's tough because the penalty for heroin possession isn't very stringent. So if a person, he says he was talking to this one guy they busted. He says, "Oh, okay, I have all this heroin. Okay, I'll just go to jail for a few years, and then they recruit from within inside, and then when they come out, he just does it again. Just sets up shop and does it again." I think we have to get a stronger presence in the neighborhood as best we can. You know, car, horse, bike, motorcycle, feet.
Mm-hmm.
Just get the police in. I went down to our police station on 51st Avenue East and Superior Street one day. I wanted to ask them a question about something that was going on in their neighborhood. So I walked down there and I rapped on the fire hall and there was no answer. There's a big yellow sign that says safe place. Okay, so I'm banging on the door, no answer. Rang the doorbell, no answer. So I walked around the front to the police station part.
Yeah.
Okay, knocked on the door. All the lights are off. Rang the doorbell, no, big sign, safe place. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, if I was in trouble and I needed a safe place to go, I wouldn't be able to get in this door because there's nobody in there to let me in.
Right.
So I think we need to have those places manned
Yeah.
24 hours so that if there is trouble, there's somebody. It doesn't have to be 6 and 8 guys. You know, 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can do shifts around there. I think that would be more than fair. You know,
So would you increase funding for police and fire?
if need be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the volunteer program because my wife and I have gone to 2 meetings already out in Lakeside, and I think that's a great idea. I would love to get that going more if I could.
Okay.
You know, just to get people in the neighborhood. You know, and if they see a squad car, even if it says volunteer, it'll keep an honest man honest.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Next year's a bonding year at the state legislature. I don't know, have you given any thought to what Duluth's
No.
priorities might be? Or
I'm kind of putting it together. I haven't
Yeah.
got
It's a little ways off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about a few things, but I just haven't got them nailed down yet.
There's been reports of a need for housing in Duluth, both affordable and workforce housing. Do you agree that there's a need, and do you think the city's doing enough to fill that need?
I don't know if it's called affordable. You know, I've seen some of the prices of those places for a room, and it's pretty high on some of those places. My daughter was looking for a place, she didn't even qualify, and her husband was out of work. So.
Like an HRA place or?
Just any place.
Yeah.
You know, and he was out of work, and she doesn't work, and they couldn't qualify. Now, I don't understand that. That's, I would think that an affordable place to live for someone who's not working would be, you know. And then I've talked to people who live in affordable housing complexes, and there's a lots of crime that goes on in there, and I think that the developing company should hire a security force to man those buildings, and to take care of that stuff. And if they need help, the police are there, and they got to.
Similar to how San Marco is run, maybe? Or
Yeah.
Do you have something, John?
What do you perceive as your, administrative, skills that you've learned to manage? You're in manage a big business with a lot of employees, with a lot of supervisory employees. How do you perceive your?
Well, I'm fairly easy guy to get along with. I'm not a bear, I'm not a dictator or anything, but I think that if you can lead well, make decisions, carry them through, and talk with other people, line yourself up with a good crew, talk about it, come up with a decision, and go with it. And sometimes it might not be a popular decision, but if you stick with it, I think people will respect you for that. And that's what I would like to have, is respect and integrity.
Jim, if you're elected mayor, would you keep the job that you have now and do mayor in addition, or would you become a full-time mayor?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't know, because I've never been in office before. It's something that I'll have to look into if and when the time comes that I'm blessed enough to be voted in.
Okay. What do you perceive the demands of the mayor's job to be? Numbers of meetings, number of hours?
Well, yeah, he's got to get involved all the time. I mean, you can't. I mean, if you're going to lead, you got to lead by example. And you got to go there and you got to do this. You might not be able to meet every meeting, go to every meeting, but you got to go. You got to find out what's going on. Because if you don't find out what's going on, you'll never know, and then you can't either correct it, change it, or make it better.
Anyone else have anything? Just in concluding then, Jim, why should people vote for Jim Mattson for mayor?
Because I don't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning.
That's not a good
underdog?
Yeah, vote for the underdog, and like I say, I work 40 hours a week, and so I consider myself a working class guy, maybe a blue collar mayor.